The scar across her knuckles hadn't fully healed when she signed the contract that would change everything. Amara Washington sat in a penthouse suite 60 floors above Seoul, her trembling hand holding a pen that felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. Across from her, a man with eyes like midnight watched her with an intensity that made her skin burn. Between them, a document printed on cream paper, promising 1 billion Korean won in exchange for 1 year of her life. Not as a possession. Not as a toy. As his shield. His protector. His shadow. The city sprawled below them, neon and chaos, a place that had chewed her up and spit her out more times than she could count. But tonight she would stop being prey. Tonight she would become something far more dangerous. She signed her name in bold strokes, and when she looked up, Kang Jae-hyun smiled, sharp and knowing, like he'd just made a deal with fate itself. "Welcome to my world, Miss Washington," he said, voice smooth as silk over steel. "I hope you're ready for what comes next." She wasn't. But she would be. Welcome back to Mafia Love Story, where danger and desire collide in the shadows of Seoul. Tonight we bring you a tale of survival, strength, and the kind of love that's forged in fire. This is the story of a woman who refused to be broken, and the man who saw her not as something to save, but as someone worth fighting beside. Dim the lights, settle in, and let me tell you about the night Amara Washington stopped running from who she was, and started running toward who she was meant to become. Amara had learned 3 things by the time she turned 27. 1. The world was cruel to women who didn't fit its narrow definition of beautiful. 2. It was twice as cruel to black women navigating a country that saw them as exotic at best, invisible at worst. 3. If you wanted to survive, you learned to fight back. She'd come to South Korea 5 years ago on a military contract, security detail for the U.S. Embassy in Seoul. Her father had been Army, her grandfather before that. Protection was in her blood. She was good at it. Better than good. She could read a room in seconds, identify threats before they materialized, move through crowds like smoke. But when her contract ended and she decided to stay, the world became significantly less welcoming. Her private security applications went unanswered. Her credentials, impressive on paper, seemed to disappear the moment potential employers saw her face on video calls. She was too big. Too dark. Too American. Too much. "We're looking for someone who blends in better," one hiring manager had said, not even bothering to hide his meaning. Amara had wanted to reach through the screen and show him exactly how well she could blend his face into the pavement. But she'd smiled instead, said thank you, and added another rejection to the pile. She'd burned through her savings in 6 months. Took a job at a hostess bar in Itaewon where her foreignness was an asset rather than a liability, where drunk soldiers and expats tipped well and didn't ask questions. But even there she heard the whispers. "She's so big for a woman. Do you think she's really a bodyguard? Look at her. I bet she's lying about the military thing." Amara learned to smile through the doubt. Smile through the men who grabbed at her like she was public property. Smile through the women who looked at her with a mixture of pity and disdain. But at night, alone in her one-room apartment in Gwangjin-gu, the smile cracked. The armor fell away. And she remembered every slight, every dismissal, every moment someone had looked at her like she was less than human. Her father's voice echoed in those dark hours. "Baby girl, the world's gonna try to make you small. Your job is to take up every inch of space you deserve." She tried. God, she tried. Then her mother got sick. The call came at 3 a.m., her sister's voice shaking, saying words like stage 4, and aggressive, and we need to move fast. Treatment in the States was astronomically expensive. Her mother's insurance covered a fraction. The rest fell to Amara and her sister to figure out. $50,000. They needed $50,000. Amara had $700 in her bank account and a credit card she'd maxed out 3 months ago. She worked triple shifts, picked up every extra hour the bar would give her, smiled until her face hurt, laughed at jokes that made her stomach turn, poured drinks for men who looked at her like a fetish made flesh. It wasn't enough. It was never enough. The debt collectors her mother's hospital hired were relentless. The numbers grew. Her sister's texts became increasingly desperate. Amara felt herself drowning, watching her mother die from 7,000 miles away because she couldn't scrape together enough money to save her. That's when Min Seo found her. Min Seo was a regular at the bar, beautiful, sharp, always impeccably dressed. She worked for someone important, though she never said who. One night, she slid onto the bar stool in front of Amara and said, "You're former military security, right?" Amara's guard went up immediately. "Who's asking?" "Someone who needs your skills. Someone willing to pay for them." Min Seo pulled out a business card, Heavy stock, embossed lettering. No name. Just a phone number. My employer is looking for a personal bodyguard. 1-year contract. Full-time live-in. Compensation is 1 billion won. Amara's hands stilled on the glass she was cleaning. 1 billion won. That was roughly 800,000 US dollars. That's not a real number. It is for the right person. Minseo's eyes were serious. My employer's life is constantly under threat. He needs someone skilled, someone loyal, someone who understands that this job might require you to put your body between him and a bullet. He also needs someone who won't be seduced by his world, who won't fall apart under pressure, who has nothing to lose and everything to prove. Why me? Because you're invisible in this city. People underestimate you. They see a foreign woman and assume weakness. That makes you the perfect shield. No one sees you coming. Minseo leaned forward. And because my employer values one thing above all else, genuine competence. He doesn't care what you look like. He cares if you can keep him alive. Amara's heart thundered. Who is he? Call the number. Come to the interview. If you're not interested after that, walk away. But if you are. Minseo's smile was knowing. Your mother will have the best cancer treatment money can buy, and you'll never have to smile through another drunk asshole's attention again. She left the card on the bar. Amara stared at it for 3 days. Before we go further, I want to hear from you. Have you ever been underestimated because of how you look? Have you ever wanted to prove everyone wrong? Tell me your story in the comments below. On the 4th day, her sister sent a photo. Their mother, gaunt and pale in a hospital bed, trying to smile for the camera. The caption read, "She's fighting so hard." Amara picked up her phone and dialed. The voice that answered was Minseo's. I was hoping you'd call. What do I need to know before I come in? Wear something you can move in. Be prepared for a physical assessment. And Amara? Minseo's voice softened slightly. Don't underestimate him. He's more dangerous than he looks. So am I, Amara replied. The address led her to the Ashton Hotel, to a penthouse that required a key card to access. Minseo met her in the lobby, looking her over with an approving nod. Good. You look ready? I am. The elevator ride felt like ascending to another dimension. When the doors opened, Amara stepped into a space that screamed wealth and power. Minimalist furniture, floor-to-ceiling windows, art that probably cost more than her entire life. And standing by the window, backlit by Seoul's glittering skyline, was him. Kang Jae-hyun turned when they entered, and Amara's breath caught. He was beautiful in the way predators are beautiful. All lean muscle and sharp edges, danger wrapped in expensive clothes. Black suit, perfectly tailored. Dark hair styled back from a face that could have been carved from marble. But it was his eyes that stopped her. Dark, intelligent, assessing every inch of her with an intensity that made her spine straighten. Miss Washington. His English was flawless, barely accented. Thank you for coming. Mr. Kang. She kept her voice level, professional. I understand you have military security experience. 4 years with the U.S. Embassy detail. Trained in Krav Maga, tactical firearms, threat assessment. He moved toward her with liquid grace. Impressive credentials. Tell me why you left. My contract ended. I chose to stay in Korea. Why? Because I wanted to prove I could make it here. Something flickered in his expression. Respect maybe. And how's that working out for you? Amara's jaw tightened. I'm here, aren't I? A smile ghosted across his lips. Indeed you are. He gestured to Minseo, who placed a tablet on the table. I'm going to be frank with you, Miss Washington. My name carries weight in this city. Some of it legitimate, most of it not. I run an organization that operates in the spaces between legal and illegal. We move information, money, occasionally more tangible goods. This makes me a target. Organized crime, Amara said flatly. If you want to be crude about it. He didn't flinch from the label. 3 attempts on my life in the past 6 months. My previous bodyguard is in the hospital with a bullet in his spine. The people who want me dead are patient, creative, and well-funded. Your job would be to make sure their next attempt is their last. Why not hire someone local? Someone who knows the landscape. Because local means connected. Connected means compromised. Every security professional in this city has ties, loyalties, prices. You. He studied her. You're an outsider. You have no stake in Korean politics or gang hierarchies. You can't be bought by my enemies because they don't even know you exist yet. And most importantly, he stepped closer. People will underestimate you. They'll see a foreign woman and assume your decoration. That makes you lethal. Amara held his gaze. You want me to be your invisible shield. I want you to be my last line of defense. Live in position. You'll accompany me everywhere. Meetings, events, even mundane errands. You'll assess threats, plan security, coordinate with my driver and my team. When danger comes, you'll be the one standing between it and me. The compensation? 1 billion won paid in installments over the year. First payment of 100 million won up front, enough to cover your mother's initial treatment costs. The rest comes quarterly. Amara's heart stopped. He knew about her mother. At her expression, Jaehyun's smile turned knowing. I investigate everyone who enters my world. Your mother has pancreatic cancer. Stage 4. She needs treatment immediately. You need money. I need protection. This is a business arrangement, Miss Washington. Mutually beneficial. And if I die protecting you? The remainder of the contract pays out to your family immediately. Life insurance of an additional 500 million won. Your mother will never worry about money again. It was cold. Transactional. Everything spelled out like a business deal. Amara should have been offended. Instead, she felt relief. This wasn't charity. This wasn't pity. This was a job. One she was qualified for. I want to see a physical demonstration first, Jaehyun said. Min-seo, if you would? Min-seo moved to the center of the room, and suddenly her entire demeanor changed. The polished professional vanished, replaced by someone coiled and dangerous. Attack me, Min-seo said simply. Amara raised an eyebrow. Seriously? Show me what you've got. Amara didn't hesitate. She'd learned in the army that hesitation got you killed. She moved fast, stepping inside Min-seo's guard, going for a joint lock that would have immobilized most opponents. Min-seo twisted out of it with surprising skill, countering with a strike aimed at Amara's solar plexus. Amara blocked, redirected, and suddenly they were moving in a dance that was part combat, part assessment. Min-seo was good, well-trained, fast, precise. But Amara was better. She'd learned to fight in war zones, in the kind of chaos where hesitation meant death. She swept Min-seo's legs, controlled the fall, and had her in a submission hold in under 30 seconds. Yield, Min-seo gasped, tapping out. Amara released her immediately, helping her up. Jaehyun was smiling. Actually smiling. Impressive. Again, but this time I'm the target. Min-seo is the threat. Show me how you'd protect me. They reset. This time, when Min-seo attacked, Amara put herself between the threat and Jaehyun. She didn't just block, she controlled space, using her body as a shield, redirecting Min-seo's attack away from Jaehyun while maintaining awareness of his position. When it was over, Jaehyun was looking at her like she was a puzzle he'd just solved. You're hired, he said simply. Move in tomorrow. Min-seo will handle the logistics and the contract details. Your first payment will be transferred tonight. Amara's throat tightened. Just like that. Just like that. He extended his hand. Welcome to my world, Miss Washington. Try not to get killed. She took his hand. His grip was firm, his skin warm against hers. I don't plan on it, she said. His smile turned dangerous. Good. Because neither do I. If you want to see how Amara survives in this deadly world, hit that subscribe button right now. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. Amara moved into the penthouse with a duffel bag containing everything she owned. Clothes, her father's dog tags, a worn copy of Beloved her mother had given her, and a Glock 19 she'd carried since her military days. Jaehyun had given her the room next to his, connected by a door that locked from both sides but could be opened in emergencies. The room was larger than any apartment she'd ever lived in. King bed, walk-in closet, bathroom with heated floors. Windows overlooking a city that had tried to break her. Your payment cleared, Jaehyun said, appearing in her doorway. Check your account. Amara pulled out her phone. 100 million won. Roughly $80,000. Her hand shook. Your mother's hospital has been contacted, he continued. They're expecting payment for the first round of treatment. Min-seo will coordinate with your sister for any additional needs. Amara's eyes burned. She refused to cry in front of him. Thank you. Don't thank me. You're earning this. His expression softened slightly. But for what it's worth, I hope she fights hard. She will. She's a Washington. We don't give up. I'm counting on it. He checked his watch. Expensive, understated. We have a meeting in 2 hours. Gang summit in Gangnam. Every major player in Seoul will be there. This is your first real test. Amara straightened. What's the threat level? High. 2 of the attendees want me dead. At least one will have brought assassins. Your job is to identify them before they make a move. That's not a lot of time to prepare. Welcome to my world. It moves fast. He moved to leave, then paused. And Amara? Wear the vest. I know you think you can dodge bullets, but humor me. The vest was state-of-the-art, lightweight, flexible, nearly invisible under clothes. Amara strapped it on, then pulled on tactical pants with hidden pockets, a black blazer that concealed her shoulder holster, and boots that looked dressy but were rated for combat. She studied herself in the mirror. Professional. Lethal. Ready. The meeting was held in a private room at an upscale restaurant in Gangnam, the kind of place where each dish cost more than Amara used to make in a week. Min-seo drove them in an armored sedan, Jaehyun in the back, Amara beside him, constantly scanning. 3 vehicles have been following us since we left, she murmured. Jaehyun didn't even look. Our escorts. Standard procedure. The motorcycle 2 cars back? Now he looked impressed. Not ours. I know. Amara pulled out her phone, zooming in with the camera. Getting the plate now. She sent it to Min-seo. 30 seconds later, registered to a shell company owned by the Seo clan. They're not supposed to be at this meeting. Jaehyun's expression went cold. They're scouting. Trying to see our security protocols. Want me to lose them? No. Let them look. Let them see you. His smile was sharp. Let them underestimate what's coming. The restaurant had been cleared for the meeting. Amara swept the room first, checking exits, sightlines, potential hiding spots. She positioned herself behind and to the left of Jaehyun, where she had clear view of everyone entering. The other bosses arrived one by one, each with their own security. Amara marked every bodyguard, every weapon, every threat. Then she saw him. The man was middle-aged, expensively dressed, with the kind of face that had seen too much violence. He entered with 2 bodyguards, but it was the server who followed them that made Amara's instincts scream. Wrong. Something was wrong. The server moved like trained military. His eyes swept the room with tactical precision. His hands, calloused, scarred, weren't the hands of someone who carried trays for a living. Amara leaned close to Jaehyun, voice barely audible. Server. 6 o'clock. He's not staff. Jaehyun didn't react visibly, but she felt him tense. Are you sure? Positive. What do you want to do? Let him approach. When he makes his move, I'll handle it. The meeting began, discussions in rapid Korean about territory, profits, shifting alliances. Amara didn't speak the language fluently, but she understood tone. This was a powder keg waiting for a spark. The fake server moved through the room, pouring water, clearing plates. Getting closer to Jaehyun with each pass. Amara's hand drifted to her concealed weapon. When he reached their section, he stumbled deliberately, spilling water toward Jaehyun. In that instant, Amara saw the flash of steel, a blade hidden in his sleeve. She moved. 1 second, the assassin was reaching for Jaehyun. The next, Amara had his wrist locked, the knife clattering away, his arm twisted at an angle that made him gasp in pain. The room exploded into chaos. Security drawing weapons. Bosses shouting. But Amara held firm, keeping the assassin immobilized while scanning for additional threats. Anyone else? She called out, voice cutting through the noise. Silence. Jaehyun stood slowly, adjusting his cuffs. He looked at the assassin, then at the boss who'd brought him. Curious. I don't recall inviting anyone from the Seo clan to this meeting, Mr. Choi. The man Choi went pale. I didn't know. I swear. You brought him in with your security detail. You didn't know? Jaehyun's voice was silk over razors. How unfortunate. For you. He nodded to his own security team. They descended on Choi's men. Take him, Jaehyun said, gesturing to the assassin still in Amara's grip. Find out who paid him. Who sent him. And remind them that attempting to kill me in a peace summit is a violation of every accord we've established. Amara released the assassin to the security team. Her heart was racing, adrenaline singing through her veins, but her hands were steady. Jaehyun turned to address the room. I apologize for the disruption, gentlemen. As you can see, I've upgraded my security. Anyone else planning to test it tonight? No one moved. Excellent. Let's continue. The meeting resumed, but the dynamics had shifted. Every boss in that room now looked at Jaehyun, and at Amara, with new wariness. In the car afterward, Jaehyun was silent for a long time. Then, you saved my life tonight. That's the job. Most people would have hesitated. Worried they were wrong. You didn't. Hesitation gets people killed. He studied her in the dim light of the car. Where did you serve? You never said. Afghanistan. 2 tours. Then embassy detail in Seoul. You saw combat. It wasn't a question. Yes. And you still chose to come back. To this life. Amara met his eyes. This life lets me save my mother. That makes it worth it. Something shifted in his expression. You're loyal. That's rare in my world. Loyalty is earned, Mr. Kong. You paid for my skills. My loyalty comes separately. Then I'll work to earn it. He smiled slightly. And call me Jae-hyun. If you're going to take bullets for me, we might as well be on a first-name basis. Amara, she replied. Not that you didn't already know that. I like to hear how people say their own names. It tells you who they think they are. And what does mine tell you? That you're someone who survived hell and came out stronger. His gaze held hers. I can work with that. The next few weeks fell into a rhythm. Amara became Jae-hyun's shadow, present but unobtrusive, watching, assessing, protecting. She mapped out every location they visited, coordinated with his team, ran background checks on anyone entering his orbit. She was good at her job. Better than good. But she wasn't prepared for how complicated Jae-hyun himself would become. He was nothing like she expected. Yes, he was dangerous. She'd watched him conduct business with a ruthlessness that was terrifying in its efficiency. But he was also unexpectedly thoughtful. He remembered details about her, that she took her coffee black with 2 sugars, that she was allergic to shellfish, that she called her mother every Sunday at 8 a.m. Seoul time. He made sure she had time for those calls. Protected that space as sacred. Family is important, he said once. Even in my world. Especially in my world. You're close with yours? His expression shuddered. My father built this empire. I'm just trying to maintain it. He died 6 months ago. Heart attack. Sudden. He paused. Or that's the official story anyway. You think it was something else? I think in my world very few deaths are natural. He looked at her. That's why I need someone I can trust. You barely know me. I know you could have let that assassin kill me. Claimed you didn't see it in time. Collected the insurance payout and gone home to your family. But you didn't. You put yourself between me and a blade without hesitation. That tells me everything I need to know. Amara's chest tightened. She'd signed up for a job. She hadn't signed up for this, for the way his trust felt like a gift, for the way she'd started noticing small things about him. The way he rubbed his temples when he was tired. How his accent thickened when he was angry. The scar on his left hand he never explained. What do you think? Is Amara catching feelings or is she just doing her job really well? Drop your theories in the comments and don't forget to like this video. The first time someone tried to test her publicly, it was at a charity gala. Jae-hyun had insisted she accompany him, not as security, but as a visible presence. They need to see you, he'd said. Need to understand that I'm protected. Min Seo had arranged for a dress, midnight blue, elegant but practical enough to move in. Amara felt exposed without her tactical gear, but she wore it anyway. Wore heels she could still run in. Wore her confidence like armor. The whispers started the moment they entered. Is that Kang Jae-hyun? Who's the woman? His new bodyguard? She's so different. Do you think she's actually capable? Different. The polite Korean word for foreign, for black, for not fitting the narrow beauty standard. Amara had heard it all before. She let it roll off. But then a woman approached, beautiful, thin, dripping in diamonds. Her smile was poisonous. Jae-hyun, darling. I didn't know you were hiring diverse security now. Jae-hyun's expression went cold. Sujin. Still compensating for lack of substance with excessive jewelry, I see. The woman's smile tightened. She turned to Amara. Tell me, dear, can you actually protect him? Or are you just for show? Why don't you try something and find out? Amara's voice was pleasant, her smile sharp. Sujin's eyes flashed. How crude. Americans. She turned back to Jae-hyun. Really, darling, where do you find these people? I find people who are competent, loyal, and genuine. 3 qualities you'll never understand. He placed his hand on Amara's lower back, a gesture that looked casual but felt electric. Now if you'll excuse us. He guided Amara away. Once they were out of earshot, she felt his thumb stroke once against her spine, a gesture of comfort. Sorry about her. Sujin is a viper with good taste in accessories? He laughed, genuinely surprised. Exactly that. I can handle vipers, Jae-hyun. I've handled worse. I know. But you shouldn't have to. His hand remained on her back as they moved through the crowd. To anyone watching, they looked like something more than employer and employee. Amara tried not to think about how natural it felt. Later that night, back at the penthouse, Jae-hyun found her on the balcony. You did well tonight. I stood around looking menacing. Not exactly challenging. You represented me. My choice to hire you. That's a statement in my world. What statement? That I value skill over appearance. Competence over connections. That I'm not playing by the old rules anymore. He leaned against the railing beside her. You're changing things just by existing in my orbit. Is that good or bad? Both. Change is always dangerous. But sometimes necessary. They stood in silence, watching the city breathe below them. Can I ask you something? Amara said finally. Always. Why did you really hire me? And don't say it's just because I'm an outsider. Jaehyun was quiet for a long moment. Do you know what it's like to be surrounded by people who only see your utility? Your power? Who would smile while putting a knife in your back if it benefited them? I can imagine. You don't look at me like that. You look at me like I'm human. Complicated. Worth protecting not because of what I am, but because of who I am. He turned to face her. That's rare. That's valuable. That's why I hired you. Amara's heart thundered. Jaehyun. I'm not saying this to make things complicated. I'm saying it because you deserve honesty. You've put your life on the line for me multiple times already. The least I can do is tell you the truth. The truth is dangerous. So are we. His eyes held hers, and in that moment, Amara felt the ground shift beneath her feet. This wasn't just a job anymore. Somewhere between the contracts and the death threats and the late-night conversations, it had become something else. Something that terrified her more than any assassin. She stepped back, creating distance. I should get some rest. Early morning tomorrow. Disappointment flickered across his face, quickly masked. Of course. Good night, Amara. Good night. She fled to her room before she could do something stupid. Like close the distance between them. Like find out if his lips were as dangerous as his words. But sleep didn't come easily. She lay awake thinking about the way he'd looked at her. The way her name sounded in his voice. The way her job was becoming the most complicated thing she'd ever done. Her phone buzzed. A text from her sister. Mom's responding to treatment. Doctors are cautiously optimistic. Thank you, Amara. For everything. She stared at that message for a long time. This was why she was here. Her mother. Her family. The billion one that would save everything. Not for a man with dangerous eyes and a smile that made her forget why she'd learned to keep her heart locked away. She repeated that to herself until she almost believed it. The next morning, everything changed. Amara was in the kitchen making coffee when Jaehyun's security team rushed in, faces grave. Boss, we have a situation. Jaehyun emerged from his room, already reading the tablet Min-seo thrust at him. His expression darkened. What is it? Amara asked, immediately alert. Someone leaked the details of a shipment. $5 million worth of merchandise seized at the port. And a message left at the scene. He showed her the photo on the tablet. Written in what looked like blood. The foreigner can't protect you, Kong. We're coming. Amara's blood went cold. They know about me. They know about you. They know where you're from. They know your mother's name. Jaehyun's voice was tight. This is a message. They're threatening you to get to me. Let them try. Amara? No. She stepped forward. This is exactly what you hired me for. They want to scare you by threatening me? Fine. Let's show them why that was a mistake. Jaehyun studied her for a long moment, something fierce and proud in his eyes. This is war now. Are you ready for that? I was born ready for war. His smile was sharp. Then let's give them one. The battle is just beginning and things are about to get intense. Make sure you're subscribed because you won't want to miss how this war unfolds. Hit that bell icon for notifications. The attack came 3 days later. Amara had been expecting it. She'd increased security protocols, run drills with Jaehyun's team, mapped out every possible assault vector. But even preparation couldn't eliminate all risk. They were leaving a business meeting in Gangnam when the first shot rang out. Amara moved on instinct. She shoved Jaehyun behind the car, her body covering his as bullets tore through the air where he'd been standing. Glass shattered. People screamed. The world became chaos and gunfire. Stay down, she barked, drawing her weapon. 3 shooters. Rooftop across the street, 2 on the ground moving closer. Professional. Coordinated. Amara's training kicked in. She returned fire, controlled bursts, keeping them pinned while the security team moved into position. Min-seo, get the car around. Now. The armored sedan screeched forward. Amara kept firing, covering their exit. She felt Jaehyun's hand fist in her jacket, trusting her completely. 1 shooter went down. 2. The third retreated, disappearing into the crowd. Move. Amara hauled Jaehyun toward the car. They'd made it halfway when she saw the fourth shooter, the one they'd missed, emerging from an alley, weapon raised. Time slowed. She saw his finger tighten on the trigger. Saw the barrel aimed at Jaehyun's head. Saw her choice crystallize into a single moment. Amara threw herself in front of him. The impact felt like being hit by a truck. The bulletproof vest caught most of it, but the force knocked her off her feet. She hit the ground hard, breath exploding from her lungs. Through the ringing in her ears, she heard Jaehyun scream. Continue. 2:55 a.m. Her name. Then the security team descended on the shooter, and suddenly there were hands lifting her, voices shouting, and Jaehyun's face above hers, pale and terrified. Amara. Amara, look at me. She gasped, struggling to breathe. The vest had done its job, but her ribs felt like they'd been shattered. I'm okay. You're not okay, you took a bullet? Vest caught it. She coughed, tasting blood. Maybe she'd bit her tongue. You're safe. I'm safe because you just threw yourself in front of a fucking bullet. His hands were shaking as they ran over her, checking for wounds. You could have died. That's the job. Fuck the job. The words exploded from him. Do you understand what you just did? Do you have any idea? He stopped, jaw clenched, eyes bright with something that looked suspiciously like tears. Min Seo appeared, medical kit in hand. We need to move. No. More could be coming. They got Amara into the car. Every breath hurt. Jaehyun kept his hand on her face, like he needed the physical contact to believe she was alive. Don't you ever do that again, he said, voice raw. Did it once. Might do it again. Amara. That's why. You pay me, the big one. She tried to smile, winced instead. Back at the penthouse, the doctor confirmed no serious damage. Severe bruising. Possibly a cracked rib. She'd be sore for weeks but would recover. Jaehyun didn't leave her side the entire examination. When the doctor left, he finally spoke. Why did you do it? Do what? You could have pulled me down. Could have shot the attacker first. Instead, you put yourself between me and the bullet. Why? Amara met his eyes. Because in that split second, I couldn't bear the thought of you dying. The air between them went electric. That's not protocol, he said softly. I know. That's personal. I know. Amara? He moved closer, sitting on the edge of the bed. This can't happen. You work for me. The power dynamic is exactly why this terrifies me. She sat up despite the pain. I know all the reasons this is a terrible idea. But that doesn't change what I feel. What do you feel? Like I'm standing at the edge of a cliff and I'm about to jump. Jaehyun's hand came up to cup her face, thumb stroking her cheek. I'm falling too. Have been since the day you walked into my life and showed me what real strength looks like. This is complicated. Everything about my life is complicated. I could lose my objectivity, make mistakes. Or you could make me want to survive. Want to build something worth protecting. His forehead touched hers. You make me want to be better than what this world made me. Amara's breath caught. Jaehyun. Tell me to stop. Tell me this crosses a line. I'll respect that. But don't tell me you don't feel this too. She couldn't. Because she did feel it, this terrifying, exhilarating thing between them that was so much bigger than a contract or a job. I feel it, she whispered. He kissed her then, gentle at first, mindful of her injuries. But when she gasped against his mouth, need overriding pain, it deepened into something desperate. Like they were both trying to prove they were alive, that this moment was real. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Jaehyun pressed his forehead to hers. We need to deal with who's trying to kill me. And then we figure out what this is. He pulled back, eyes intense. But Amara, I need you to understand something. This world I live in, it destroys beautiful things. It takes what you love and uses it as a weapon. If we do this, if we make this real, you become my greatest weakness. Or your greatest strength. His smile was heartbreaking. God, I hope you're right. The next 24 hours were a blur of planning. Jaehyun's team tracked the shooters back to a rival faction, the Seoul clan, the same ones who'd sent the assassin to the summit. They'd been consolidating power, trying to take over Jaehyun's territory while he was distracted. They think you're weak because you hired me, Amara said, studying the intelligence reports. A foreign woman. Not traditional. Not connected. They're about to learn how wrong they are. We need to send a message. Something definitive. Jaehyun's eyes glittered dangerously. What do you suggest? We give them what they want. Me. Alone. vulnerable. At his immediate protest, she held up a hand. Hear me out. They clearly underestimate me. Let's use that. Set a trap. Make them think they're ambushing me when really they're walking into ours. Absolutely not. Jae-hyun. No. I'm not using you as bait. You're not using me. I'm volunteering. She stood, ignoring the pain in her ribs. I've been underestimated my entire life. Let's show them exactly what that costs. They argued for an hour. But eventually Jae-hyun saw the logic. Amara was right. Her supposed weakness was actually their advantage. The plan was simple. Amara would attend a meeting alone, supposedly to deliver a message from Jae-hyun. The Seoul clan would see an opportunity. They'd attack. And Jae-hyun's entire team would be waiting. If anything goes wrong, Jae-hyun started. It won't. But if it does, then I die doing what I'm good at. She touched his face. But I don't plan on dying. I have too much to live for now. The meeting was set for an abandoned warehouse in Incheon. Amara went in wired, armed and ready. The Seoul clan boss was there with a dozen men. They smiled when they saw her alone. The American bodyguard, the boss said in English. How brave of you to come alone. I have a message from Kang Jae-hyun. Oh? And what message is that? That you've made a grave mistake. The smile faltered. Is that a threat? No. It's a fact. That's when the first shots fired, but not from the Seoul clan. From the shadows, Jae-hyun's team emerged, cutting off every exit. The boss's face went white. What is this? This, Amara said calmly, is what happens when you underestimate people. The fight was brief, brutal. Jae-hyun's team had the element of surprise and superior training. Within minutes, the Seoul clan members were disarmed and subdued. Jae-hyun walked in, stepping over unconscious bodies like they were furniture. I believe you wanted to meet with me, he said to the boss. Here I am. The negotiations that followed were conducted in Korean, but Amara understood the gist. Surrender or die. Submit or watch everything you've built burn. The Seoul clan boss chose surrender. When it was over, Jae-hyun found Amara outside, breathing in the cold night air. It's done, he said. Is it ever really done in your world? No. But this war is, for now. He moved beside her. You were magnificent in there. I was bait. You were fierce, strategic, deadly. He turned her to face him. You were everything they didn't expect. And that won us the war. Amara smiled. Funny how being underestimated can be a weapon. You've taught me that. His hands framed her face. You've taught me a lot of things. Like what? Like how strength comes in forms I never expected. Like how the most dangerous person in a room is often the one everyone dismisses. Like how falling in love in the middle of a war is terrifying and exhilarating and inevitable. Amara's breath stopped. Love. Yes, love. His eyes were steady, certain. I love you, Amara Washington. I love your strength, your loyalty, your refusal to be anything less than exactly who you are. I love that you threw yourself in front of a bullet for me. I love that you're standing here, bruised and battered, looking at me like I'm worth dying for. Tears burned her eyes. You are worth dying for. But I'd rather live for you. Than live. Stay. Not because of the contract. Not because of the money. But because you want to. Because this insane, complicated, dangerous thing between us is worth fighting for. My contract isn't up for another 9 months. Fuck the contract. He kissed her forehead, her cheeks, her lips. Stay forever. Be my partner. My equal. My love. Help me build something better than what came before. That's a lot of pressure. You can handle it. You can handle anything. Amara pulled him closer despite the pain in her ribs. Yes. Yes. Yes, I'll stay. Yes, I love you. Yes to all of it. She smiled against his lips. But I'm keeping the $1 billion. I earned that. His laugh was pure joy. Deal. They kissed under the stars with the city breathing around them, and for the first time in her life, Amara felt like she'd found where she belonged. Not in spite of who she was. Because of it. 6 months later, Amara stood on the balcony of the penthouse, watching Seoul wake up beneath a cotton candy sky. Her mother's latest scan had come back clear. 2 more rounds of treatment and she'd be in remission. Her sister sent photos almost daily, their mother smiling, gaining weight, laughing with nurses. Alive. Fighting. Winning. Amara had sent 300 million won home so far. The rest sat in an account, growing, waiting. Security for a family that had only ever known struggle. Behind her, she heard the balcony door open. Jaehyun emerged with 2 cups of coffee, handing her one. "You're up early," he said, kissing her temple. "Couldn't sleep. Too much on my mind." "Good things or bad things?" "Both." She leaned into him. "I've been thinking about what happens when the year is up. I thought we agreed you were staying." "I am. But not as your employee." She turned to face him. "I want to expand your security operations. Train a team. Build something that protects not just you, but everyone in your organization who's vulnerable. Make security a statement of strength, not a necessity." Jaehyun's eyes lit up. "You want to run your own division. I want to build something that matters. Use my skills to create change in your world." "Our world," he corrected. "And I think it's brilliant. What do you need?" "Funding, authority, and your trust. You have all three." He set down his coffee, pulling her close. "You've changed everything, you know. The way I operate. The way people see me. The way I see myself." "Good changes?" "The best changes." He kissed her softly. "You made me want to be worth the faith you have in me. You were always worth it. You just needed someone to see it." They stood together as the sun rose higher, painting the city in gold. Amara's phone buzzed. A text from Min Seo, 2 meeting requests from rival clans. "Both want to hire your security services. You're officially in demand." She showed Jaehyun, who laughed. "See? You're already changing the game." "We're changing it. Together." "Together," he agreed. That afternoon, Amara met with her first potential client, a smaller organization looking to protect their leadership. She laid out her proposal: comprehensive security, trained by someone who understood both military tactics and the specific dangers of Seoul's underworld. They hired her on the spot. Word spread quickly. The American bodyguard who'd saved Kang Jaehyun's life, who'd taken down the Seo clan, who was building a security empire one contract at a time. People who'd once dismissed her now competed for her services. Amara hired carefully. Women mostly. People who'd been overlooked, underestimated, dismissed. She trained them the way she'd been trained, to be lethal, professional, invisible until they needed to be seen. Within 3 months, her team was the most sought-after security force in Seoul. "You're outpacing my business growth," Jaehyun joked one evening, reviewing her quarterly reports. "Competition is healthy." "Is that what we are? Competitors?" "We're partners." She straddled his lap, fingers threading through his hair. "In business and everything else." His hands settled on her waist. "I like the sound of that." They'd fallen into an easy rhythm, working together, building together, loving together. The penthouse had become home. Seoul had become home. This complicated, dangerous life had become home. Amara's father's dog tag still hung around her neck, but now they were joined by a ring on a chain, platinum, simple, meaningful. A promise from Jaehyun that when the time was right, he'd ask properly. She wore it close to her heart, a reminder that she'd survived everything thrown at her and come out stronger. The final payment of her contract came through on schedule. 1 billion won. Paid in full. Amara stared at the number in her account, feeling the weight of everything it represented. Freedom. Security. Survival. Victory. But when she looked at Jaehyun, she realized the money wasn't the real treasure. The real treasure was standing in front of her, looking at her like she hung the moon. "What are you thinking?" he asked. "That I came to Seoul 5 years ago trying to prove I could make it. That I could survive. That I was enough. And I found something better than survival. I found purpose. Well, home." She moved into his arms. "I found you. I found you too." He held her close. "My beautiful, deadly, complicated love." They stood there for a long time, 2 people who'd been underestimated, overlooked, and dismissed, who'd found each other in the shadows and built something real. Amara's phone buzzed. A text from her mother. "The doctors say I can travel soon. I want to meet this man who's made my daughter so happy." She showed Jaehyun, who paled slightly. "She wants to meet me?" Terrified. "Absolutely. Your mother survived cancer and raised a woman who takes bullets for a living. She's the most dangerous person in your family." Amara laughed. "Good thing you're brave. I've faced down assassins, rival gangs, and corporate espionage. But meeting your mother?" He shook his head. "That's true fear. She'll love you." "How do you know?" "Because I love you. And she trusts my judgment." 3 weeks later, Amara stood in the Incheon Airport arrivals terminal, watching the doors anxiously. When her mother emerged, thinner but smiling, alive, Amara broke. She ran to her, careful of her mother's fragility, and sobbed into her shoulder. "My strong girl, her mother murmured. My beautiful, strong girl. Look at you. You're glowing. I'm happy, Mom. I can see that. Her mother pulled back, studying her. Is this because of that Korean man who paid for my treatment? His name is Jae-hyun. And yes. Then I can't wait to meet him. The dinner that night was both terrifying and wonderful. Jae-hyun was on his best behavior, respectful and attentive. Amara's mother asked pointed questions about his intentions, his business, his ability to protect her daughter. Mrs. Washington, Jae-hyun said finally, I can't promise your daughter a safe life. My world is dangerous. But I can promise that I'll love her fiercely, support her completely, and do everything in my power to make sure she never regrets choosing me. Amara's mother studied him for a long moment. Then she smiled. That's good enough for me. Later, after her mother had gone to bed in the guest room, Amara found Jae-hyun on the balcony. How do you think that went? He asked nervously. She likes you. Really? Really? You passed the most important test. Amara wrapped her arms around him from behind. Thank you. For saving her life. For giving me a chance to have her longer. Thank you for saving mine. He turned in her arms. For giving me a reason to value it. They kissed under the stars, and Amara thought about the journey that had brought her here. Every rejection. Every moment of being dismissed, overlooked, underestimated. It had all led to this. To him. To home. I love you, she whispered. I love you too. My fierce guardian. My love. My home. And in that moment, with Seoul glittering beneath them and the future stretching bright and dangerous and full of possibility, Amara finally understood what it meant to be enough. Not because she'd changed to fit the world's expectations, but because she'd found someone who saw her exactly as she was and loved her more for it. She'd come to Seoul to prove she could survive. Instead, she'd learned how to live. Thank you for joining us on Mafia Love Story, where every bullet has a name and every heart has a secret. Amara's journey reminds us that strength comes in unexpected forms, and love finds us in the most dangerous places. If this story moved you, hit that like button, share it with someone who needs to hear that they're enough exactly as they are, and subscribe for more tales of passion, danger, and forbidden love. Until next time, remember, the most powerful weapon isn't a gun or a blade, it's knowing your own worth. This is Mafia Love Story signing off.